awesome people. I hope you can hear me. I'm standing a little bit far away, but these things should be working. You should be able to hear me correctly. Welcome to today's video. I hope you're all feeling fantastic and you've been doing your workouts and that kind of stuff. As always, if you have any questions, just let me know and we can address them here. Today's video, I just wanted to have a quick chat with you about connecting with your deep core. It's something that's been in the back of my head for a while. I haven't talked about it in my online stuff for a really long time. So we're just going to have a quick chat about it today. And as most of you who do train with me a lot know, I am not a big believer in, well, let me restate that. I'm not a big believer in a lot of things. When it comes to activating your core, it is so much more than just, I'm supposed to speak Swedish and spänna, turning on your abs, okay? Your core, especially your deep core, is kind of the entire unit of your body functioning in a way that keeps you from falling down into a gelatinous mess on the floor. And when we either A, don't learn to develop that when we're growing, or B, as we're getting older, we develop bad habits and that kind of stuff. Or C, have a trauma. For women, when I talk about trauma, it could actually just be going through childbirth, going through pregnancy and childbirth. Okay, it's the effects of that can disconnect us from the muscles that we have there in our deep core. And then so what we start to do is overcompensate or compensate with other muscles, and then those muscles just get switched off and we forget how to use them, forget how to find them. But they are an essential part of learning to move properly, effectively, and without pain. Okay, for my athletes in this group, most of you who are athletes here play contact sport or have played a contact sport, and you understand the difference between being hit by somebody and just holding your ground, and being hit by somebody and falling in a mess on the floor. And your deep core and your ability to switch on your core is that difference. So now I know you all know what I'm talking about. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you some pictures, because I haven't already shown you this book. Oh, glare, sun glare. Anatomy Trains. Of course, it's coming up backwards. That says Anatomy Trains by a fellow by the name of Tom Myers. If you are an anatomy geek like I am, this is an essential part of your library, okay? But you can just go in and Google Anatomy Trains, and you get some awesome pictures like these ones here, which show you essentially what I'm talking about, okay? Those muscles there, that's all part of your deep core. And we're learning to activate those not just when we're standing still, but also in movement, okay? And that is why I'm so big on, or one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about functional training, because it is about learning to use those muscles together in unison so that we can move in a way, in an effective flow against gravity through the world without causing injury and pain to our bodies. So how do I activate all of those muscles, Joe? Great question, glad you asked. For us at the studio, I've gotten off the set position rant for actually a couple of years now, but we're going to get back onto it moving in. Just reminding everybody that's what we're doing. It is standing to, so from a still position or a standing still position, with my feet on the ground. I just took my shoes off because I really like to have connection with the actual ground when I do this. With my feet on the ground, just beyond hip width apart, so between hips and shoulder width apart. Everybody's body is different, okay? So find your groove there. They should note your feet shouldn't be inside your hips, and they really shouldn't be outside your shoulders either, okay? So, hip to shoulder width apart we use there. And my knees should never be locked out, okay? So we're not walking around in a squat, but we're not walking around with our knees locked out either. We're standing with our knees locked out. They're just sort of off lock, so that all my muscles in those chains are actually connected and can work together. And just to get a little bit more into the theory of that, so when I lock my knees out, if I stand on the side here, if I lock my knees out, you see my hips, I hope you can see that, I can see that, my hips just tilt forward just a little bit, and to keep myself upright, my lower back turns on to stop myself from falling forward. And that's not the purpose of the lower back, okay? The purpose of of your abs and, you know, well, all these muscles in here and your adductors is to stop me from falling forward, okay? But when you lock your knees out, those muscles can't do that because they're not in the right position and nothing's working together. And that's when I, end up with short psoas muscles and overextended lower back and sore lower back. So knees off lock, and then what do? So I'm going to take my pelvic floor like this, okay? For the women in the group, you've all been told to do your Kegels, which is the clamping on. For the men in the group, you should also be doing your Kegels as well. Now, one of the things that I want people to really try and understand with this particular exercise is I'm not smashing on and holding that muscle for dear life, okay? If you want to train your pelvic floor with that kind of training, there's nothing wrong with that. It's, in all honesty, you're probably going to enjoy your sex life better if you do those exercises. However, just in terms of dealing with your core and having good core activation, what the imagery that we're going for is not this really hard smash. What it is actually just a light lift, okay? So if I'm here, I'm going from this position with my pelvic floor to just lifting up and holding in gently, like you're holding a baby, or well, not even holding a baby. I don't know, something gentle that you might crush if you smash it on. Yeah, so it's about that. That's with the pelvic floor, okay? So the muscles that are all inside my pelvis there, we're just sort of lifting up. And it is very specific to, what was the analogy we were using there? I can't remember. But if you're thinking about it, like a lot of people when we're growing up and going through this stuff, you sort of get taught, well, it's the peeing muscles. It's like turning on and off your pee flow when you're having a pee. Don't do it, it's bad for your health. But it's actually, if we're getting into the anatomy side of things, if you're talking about female anatomy, it's in between, it's the melangord there, what's it called? Your perineum, which is, between the vagina and the anus. That area there, you're just kind of lifting it up. If for the men in the group, it's as if you were just raising up your testicles, okay? And that's the spot that you're working on, rather than, dealing with your urethra, which is, located just slightly forward or anteriorly from that. And it's important to understand that that's where we're at, because you've got to get the right activation there, okay? So that's pelvic floor. And then the other thing is I want to get into how my legs are working, that kind of stuff. If I'm standing in an external, so I'm sorry you can't see my feet here. If I'm standing in an externally rotated or turning my feet out like this position with my knees locked, again, what's happening is my glutes are turning on, pulling my legs out, and then I can't activate my glutes for the walking or the moving forward action. Okay, so this is why, again, at the studio, I'm really big on when we're squatting and performing action, feet, knees, hips all in line, okay? Because this is how we move forward with our core activated and the chains working together to be able to, create movement. Now, when I get to diagonal movements and that kind of stuff, I need to train my body to still keep feet, knees, and hip rotation all in line, so that I can activate my slings as well. Okay, blah blah blah. These guys here, these kinds of chains here. Okay, it all still needs to be staying in line. All right. That comes about from learning to stand in set position and then learn to walk from set position. Okay, so getting back to the subject, feet, knees, hips all in line, feet hip to shoulder width apart, my pelvic floor is on, and that is when I bring my belly button in towards my spine. And rather than pushing it in from the outside, what I want to picture myself doing is pulling a string from the inside. So I'm pulling my belly back, not pushing it back, if that makes sense. You know, and again, that helps create that lighter, you know, lift and hold rather than smashing on, okay? Because if you smash on, there's no movement there, and we need to have movement in the muscles in order to create action. So, a firmness, okay? From there, I want my ribs to be coming up on this kind of an angle, which means I need to bring my shoulder blades in towards each other and down towards the hips, and my chins just drop slightly. That puts me in set position. So the next step there is, rather than holding that in a rigid position, I need to learn to take a step forward whilst maintaining this erect spine. And what I want you to do, if you can find the time in your day or the next few days, is to actually just practice that. Consciously set aside 30 seconds. That's all you need. Start from set position, take a step forward, and check in with your body and see what muscles are still turned on. Because for a lot of us, the second we take that step, everything switches off, okay? And we go back to our bad habits that we've been developing from being angry teenagers and that kind of stuff, okay? So, set position, take a step, take another step, okay? Now, the next talk that I'm going to do like this next week is going to be on walking and how our foot should be working, should be working whilst we're walking and running and that kind of stuff, because it's integrated, okay? It all works together. But that's your homework for this week, and if you can just get in there, get into set position, and then learn to take a step whilst keeping everything in line and everything in contact with itself, you should feel, okay, you should, let me take that back a bit, sorry. What we're going for there is the ability to, or the understanding that you have contact from the ground all the way up through your body to the top of your head, okay? And, you know, I want to be clear, this is not, you know, if you get that, awesome, fantastic. If you don't, you know what, you don't, okay? It's something to work towards. That's what we were looking for. It has taken me years to get to that position, okay, where I can sit here and I can go, yep, I can tell you exactly what muscles in my body are working right now and what ones aren't. And that's years of education, understanding, and research. As for my athletes in the group, you're probably going to be better at this than others, because, you know, you play sports, and that's, you know, being in contact with your body is what you do. It's your happy place. So if you're an athlete or you're a sports player and you're struggling, try and get yourself into sport or game mode, and then do this. You know, okay, game on, and just check in with your body. Feel what's working, feel what's not working, and then, you know, from there we go on and we do things like the scorpions and the gorilla walks and that kind of stuff, all while being conscious of whether or not those muscles are still activated and working together to help cause movement, okay? Because that is where it's at. That is connecting with your deep core. That is training the body to be on, okay, and having your core activated, and then once we do that, that becomes a habit, if that makes sense, okay? So I hope that was informative, because we want it to become a habit, because quite frankly, I still want to be climbing mountains in my 80s, okay? So, you know, learn to connect with your deep core, and I see you there, Melina, and I see you there, Johanna. We're actually just about to finish. I'm sorry, you'll just have to go back and watch it. That is activating your deep core and learning to keep it activated during movement, okay? If you have any questions about this subject, if you've got any other questions, please just get in contact with me. I will be putting this up in the normal Facebook page and on the YouTube page if you want to go and have a look at it, but you should be able to just look at it here in this group as well. You know, like, comment, share, all that kind of stuff. Thank you for your time. Thank you for doing your stuff. You know I love you. And, other thing is, we're back in the studio on the 20th of August. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm really excited to be getting back to work, and, you know, getting stuff done. So have a look in your diaries, get in contact with me, or I will be getting in contact with you to see when you're going to be booking in for your stuff at the studio. Okay? Thanks, everybody, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.